Dear brothers and sisters, as we look at ourselves and think about what the purpose of our life is, we realize with time that the true purpose of life is to be able to know ourselves truly and to know God. Since most of us think of ourselves as a human body, to realize that we are other than the physical body takes a while. And as we try to ponder on that question, with time we realize that this body is just like a temporary home. Our true self is our soul. And then we start to look at how are we leading our lives. We find that many people are leading a life in which they are trying to get gains for themselves. Many people lead a life which is very selfish. They feel that they are the ones who should be getting everything, irrespective of if someone else gets something or not. They are the ones who are greedy. That they want to take everything in sight, not caring for what troubles they bring to someone else. So I'd like to relate a humorous anecdote. This is about a mother who had two children. She had two boys, and she was trying to have the elder boy understand that he should not be greedy. So she calls him and tells him that I want you to share all your toys with your younger brother. And I want you to understand that you should spend half the time with the toys, and your younger brother should spend the other half of the time with the toys too. And as the boys were playing with each other, the younger boy came back to the mom and said, my older brother is not sharing with me. The younger boy was crying that he's not getting enough to play with the toys. So the mother called the older boy in and asked him as to what was he doing with the toys. And she again told him, I told you should spend half the time with the toys yourself and the other half should be spent by your brother. And the elder boy said, yeah, I do the same thing. I don't know why he's complaining. We just went out sledging and I had him take the sledge up the hill and I just rode it down the hill. And it is this kind of attitude that many people have, which puts them in a state where they are gaining from the environment, whether it's gaining praise, gaining name or fame, whether it's gaining wealth, or gaining in any other arena. Now, when we lead a life like that, then not only are we creating difficulties for others around us, but also with time, hatred starts to become big in our lives. When a person is selfish, when they want everything for themselves, then they realize that others who they are dealing with are in a state in which they just don't consider them to be equals. A person who has hatred in their being, they are always thinking that someone else who's like them is maybe okay to be with, is okay to be communicating to. But others who are not like them are to be disliked, and hatred builds in. And as one starts to lead a life like that, you find that the thoughts that that person has, the words that they speak, and the deeds that they do, all are reflecting this selfishness in their being. Anytime we start to think about hatred, we find that this is a trait that starts to eat on us from the inside. It is a state in which there's turmoil in our being, because we're always thinking of finding ways and means to bring difficulties to the life of those that we hate. What is very interesting is that once we are able to remove the hatred from ourselves, then life gets to be led in a very loving and positive manner. There is a very interesting incident out of the life of Saint Francis of Assisi. This incident is from the time before he had realized himself, before he started to experience the spiritual path. He, as a young man, would work in a store selling cloth. So one day when he was working, a beggar came into the shop. And the beggar asked, in the name of God, for some money for food. Francis at that time did not pay any heed to the beggar. So the beggar waited patiently, and when no response came after asking many times, the beggar left. And after the beggar had left the shop, an inner voice started to say something to Francis. And his inner voice asked him a very interesting question. And he said that if this person who had come in were not a beggar, but a person would have come in and would have said that he is wanting some money for a good count, or a baron, then you would have definitely given the money because you would want to make a good impression on the people of high society. And as soon as Francis heard that, he started to think. And he realized that the one who'd come in was equally valuable. And so he ran out of the shop. He found the beggar and gave him money so he could have food. So incidents do happen in our life which bring in a change. When we look at the life of Mother Teresa, we find that she helped the destitute, the one who were very, very sick, the one who had no means to survive, and her whole life was a sacrifice to help others in need. When the realization sets in that we are all a part of the great family of the Creator, it is then that our hand gets extended to help others. So selfishness becomes selfless, and selfless service is a means by which we are able to remove the difficulties of many, many others. But to get from selfish state to selfless state, something needs to make us realize at what levels are we leading our lives. When we live at the level of our mental capabilities, when we live at the level of our mind, then the mind is always trying to have us get this and get this and get that. It wants us focused in the world outside. It wants us distracted from our goals. And it just puts us in a state in which it just boosts up our ego. Whenever our ego is boosted, we are living a life of duality. Because our ego makes us feel as if we are greater than everyone else, as if we are different than everyone else. So the key is to be able to get to the state where our ego is under control. And it's only when we are able to be in a state in which we recognize the oneness of everything around us that we get to a state of being selfless. A state in which we realize we're all connected, we're all the same, we're a part of one great family of the Creator. And it is then that help starts to go from us to everyone else. It is in that state that violent thoughts turn into non-violence. It is in that state that hatred turns into love. It's in that state that selfishness turns into selflessness. And that state can be achieved when we find that oneness. Now, where are we going to find that oneness? If we live at the level of our physical senses, then everything around us is different than us. Even the members of a family, they look different, they behave differently, their understandings are different, they talk differently. And so anyone that we meet, we feel is different than us. But that is only when we live at the level of our physical senses. But once we rise above that state, and once we experience states which are more conscious than this physical state, it is then that we start to see the commonality in our existence. For us to be able to get to the conscious states, we need to still ourselves, still the body, and still the mind. And the process of stilling the body and stilling the mind is called meditation. So meditation is a means by which we rise above physical body consciousness. Meditation is a means by which we then connect with states beyond the physical. And meditation is a means by which, as we go on this spiritual journey, it's a journey of light, it's a journey of love. And as we experience the divine light within, and as we connect with the celestial music which is reverberating within each and every one of us, then the realization starts to set in that we are a part of this creative power, the power that brought all into being. That power can be called God, can be given any other name. The Creator brought all creation into being because of love. As we start to experience the divine within ourselves, we realize that this whole creation is based on love. And it is the love of God that we need to experience by ourselves. And it is that love of God that needs to flow out from us to others. Not jealousies, not hatred, not opinionated stuff, but the love of God. So we need to become pipes through which the divine love of God reaches everyone else. And that can only happen as we experience the love of God ourselves. And that love of God is what we experience as we meditate. Meditation is not like a dry activity. Meditation is a very joyous and a fulfilling activity. Meditation means that we sit in silence, we still the body, we still the mind, and then we enjoy the love of God which is within us, surrounding us. And as we experience the love of God, we are transported to another realm. And this is why most of the scriptures talk about those who love are the ones who find God. Because God is an ocean of all love. We, whose true existence is at the level of a soul, are also a drop of that ocean. We're also full of the love and light of God. And the way back to God is also through love. And that love can be experienced as we focus our attention within ourselves. And so, as we look at ourselves, let us look at ourselves in a manner in which our life would be fruitful. This life has been given to us to know ourselves and to know God and to bring the love of God into any environment that we find ourselves in. And we all can do that as we connect with the source of all joy, the source of all peace, the source of all love. And that source is the Creator. And that Creator is not in the world outside. The Creator is within each and every one of us. So as we meditate and as we take our attention from the world outside and focus it within ourselves, we start to connect with that divine love which is permeating each and every pore of our being. So let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can so you can experience this love. Please close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeball should be straight, focused, 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the Divine Power within and to have us experience the divine light in its effulgence. We'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. छोड़ दीजिए जी, please leave off.